Pay for stealing my ex's dog and making sure he lost his house? Hi Reddit. I never thought I'd be one of those people, but here we are. Throwaway for obvious reasons. This is going to be long, but I need context to explain how everything escalated to the point where I stole a dog and potentially ruined someone's living situation. So I, 28F, dated my ex, let's call him Ryan, 30M, for a little over 4 years. We moved in together during year 2, and we shared a pretty normal relationship. Ups, downs, the usual. About a year and a half ago, we adopted a golden retriever named Max from a local rescue. We both wanted a dog, but I was the one doing the bulk of the work. I trained Max, took him to vet appointments, did all the walking, feeding, etc. Ryan would occasionally take him on jogs or toss a ball. But the day-to-day, Max bonded to me fast. He followed me from room to room like a shadow, cried at the door when I went to work, and waited by it until I came back. He slept on my side of the bed, curled under my legs on the couch, and would literally push Ryan away when we sat together. He was my dog in every way except, unfortunately, on paper. Ryan's name was on the adoption form because he technically paid the adoption fee, a whole $150, wow. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. Fast forward to 6 months ago. I discovered Ryan was cheating on me with a coworker. I wasn't snooping. He left his iPad unlocked and I saw a whole thread of texts and photos that made it pretty clear. Not only that, but it had been going on for months, and he had even brought her over once when I was away visiting my sister. I confronted him. He tried to gaslight, deny, deflect, but eventually admitted to it. I packed up and left the next day. I stayed with my sister for a few weeks and then moved into a small apartment of my own. Here's the kicker. When I asked if I could take Max, the one being cheated on, let me remind you, Ryan said no. Flat out, no discussion. He told me he needed Max for emotional support, and that if I tried to take him, he'd call the cops and report him stolen. When I offered to buy Max from him, he laughed and said, "You can't buy love, sweetheart." I was heartbroken. I cried for weeks. Max had been my baby, my comfort, my stability through everything. Losing him felt worse than losing Ryan, to be honest. Fast forward again to about a month ago. A mutual friend sent me a video from Ryan's Instagram story. In it, Max was tied up in the backyard in the pouring rain, while music blasted from inside and Ryan and his friends were partying. Max looked terrified. He was soaked, barking and pawing at the back door. I was livid. That dog hates the rain. He used to jump into the shower with me just to avoid thunder. So the next day, I drove by Ryan's house. He works the same hours he always did, so I knew he'd be gone. The side gate was open, it usually is. And Max was there, alone, looking miserable. The second he saw me, he perked up and ran over, tail wagging like crazy. I clipped a leash on him and walked out. No one saw. No cameras, just me and Max reunited. I took him home, got him groomed, checked at the vet, and bought all his favorite toys again. He adjusted in a day, slept through the night, no anxiety, nothing. Like he knew he was safe again. I blocked Ryan on everything. He texted me a few times from different numbers, mostly angry, some guilt-trippy, but I ignored it. Now here's where it gets vindictive, I guess. Ryan lives in a house his parents technically own. They co-signed the mortgage when he bought it because his credit was trash and he had no savings. His mom and I used to be close, and I knew they still helped him out financially. Reed paid half his bills. So I wrote a letter. Anonymously. I created a fake email and account. I sent them screenshots of the cheating, yes, I had saved them, the party pics, drugs and all, and several Instagram clips of Max being left outside in bad weather. I framed it like a concerned neighbor saying, "Your son is not doing well. You should be aware of this if your name is still on the deed." Well, apparently it worked. A friend of a friend said Ryan's parents freaked. They confronted him about everything. He tried to lie, then blew up, and in the end, they told him they were cutting him off financially. They're looking to sell the house, or at the very least, stop paying for it. Since Ryan can't afford the mortgage on his own, he's now crashing on some friend's couch and trying to figure out his next steps. Now he's telling everyone I ruined his life, that I stole his dog, and that I manipulated his family to make him homeless. A mutual friend told me that while what Ryan did was scummy, I went too far and should have just called animal control or confronted him directly. That doing what I did makes me no better than him. So I ask you, Reddit, hey, for stealing my ex's dog and making sure he lost his house? Top comment, Borough 29.6k. U/Golden Retriever Mom 94 Sports Medal. He lost his house because of his behavior. Cheating, neglecting the dog, partying like a teenager. You didn't steal Max. You rescued him. Dogs aren't property, they're family. Honestly, I think you were restrained. You could have done way worse. U/Sadvegan69, Borough 10.2k. And I say this as someone who works in animal welfare. The second you saw that video of Max tied out in the rain, you had moral grounds to step in. He left that poor dog outside while he was inside high off his ass. That's not ownership. That's neglect. Also, anyone who says, you should have called animal control, has never actually dealt with AC in an overworked district. Max would have stayed outside for weeks before anything happened. U/2-day shipping and regret. Urob 6.1k. Info, what state are you in? Because if he wants to pursue legal action for theft, and the dog's technically in his name, you might run into issues, unless you can prove neglect, which it kinda sounds like you can. That said, morally, absolutely NTA. Legally, keep records, screenshots, vet bills, make sure your bases are covered. U/it's not petty if it works. Upro 5.3k. You can't buy love, sweetheart. You're right, you can't. But you can lose it by being a piece of trash. You didn't steal the dog. You saved him. You didn't make him lose the house. He was just living on borrowed time. Let him sleep in the bed he peed in. NTAX 1000. U/cursed real estate agent. Upper Oak 4.1k. Honestly, his parents sound like saints. Most people wouldn't lift a finger, but they stepped in the moment they saw how he was spiraling. You didn't ruin his life. He's just mad you exposed him. Let him learn. That dog is better off with you. U/lawyer up throwaway. Up arrow 3.7k. Lawyer here. Not your lawyer just to echo others. Document everything. Texts from him, vet visits since you took Max. Any proof of prior neglect. If he tries to go nuclear and file a report, you'll want a timeline showing Max was better off in your care. Might also be worth checking if you can register Max under your name now at your vet or city. Still, ente. U/just go full Batman. Probe 2.2k. Sage, mildly and hear me out. Yeah, Ryan's a garbage fire. But doxing him to his parents anonymously feels dark. You didn't just take the dog, you took his housing too. I'm not defending him, but I wouldn't want someone playing puppet master with my life either. I still think Max is better off, but this is a level of revenge I'd expect from a Netflix drama. U/spicy bunny, upper 1.9k. Hot take. This is the most wholesome ruined his life post I've ever read. Dog is safe. Trash took itself out. Everyone wins. Update. AITA for stealing my ex's dog and making sure he lost his house? Original post linked here. Thanks for the wild ride, Reddit. Hi again. I honestly didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. I want to thank everyone for the kind words, the awards, Max says woof, and the legal advice. I read every comment, and while a few people thought I crossed the line, the overwhelming support reminded me I did what was right, for Max and for myself. So here's the final update. He adjusted like he never left. He's eating better, sleeping better, and even gained a healthy amount of weight after a checkup. I started taking him to a dog park nearby, and he's made a best friend there, an Aussie named Daisy. His separation anxiety is basically gone. Sometimes he'll still stand by the door when I leave, but he no longer panics. Well, things went downhill for him pretty fast. About 2 weeks after my post, he tried calling me from a new number. I didn't answer. Then I got a letter from a lawyer friend of his threatening civil action for pet theft. I immediately lawyered up myself. Thank you to the Redditor who offered legal insight, seriously. Turns out, I had more proof of neglect than I realized. I had timestamps from that video, photos of Max's skin irritation from flea bites, and my vet wrote a letter confirming Max's improved condition. When we responded formally, they dropped it cold. Ryan never filed anything official. Remember how I said his parents were pulling out of the mortgage? Well, after talking to a mutual friend, I found out they actually evicted him. Turns out their names were on the deed, not just as co-signers, but as joint owners. After I sent that anonymous tip, they flew in from out of state to see the house. What they found: trash, damage to the drywall, a bunch of beer cans and bongs, and Max's destroyed crates still in the backyard. They gave him 30 days to clean it up and move out. He didn't, so they changed the locks after 45. Ryan is now living with a different friend, bouncing between jobs, and still whining on social media about how his dog was stolen and his life was ruined by a bitter ex. I've been sent screenshots. He still hasn't figured out I was the one who contacted his parents. Though at this point, I don't care if he finds out. I was able to legally register Max in my name. Since Ryan never reported him missing, and I had vet records showing consistent care since the transfer, Animal Services had no issue approving the re-registration. He's officially mine. This whole situation broke something in me, but it also built something stronger. I thought I was weak for how devastated I was after the breakup. I thought I had no power. But taking Max back reminded me that protecting what's good and vulnerable isn't crazy or dramatic. Right. So yeah, Max is safe. I'm healing. And Ryan, well, he still can't afford rent. But I'm not his emotional support anymore. Thanks, Reddit. Prince.